Hello, everybody. This is podcast number 2. We have new mics. We're here with Nadia. We're show agents. So Nadia, how you doing? How you been?
I'm doing good. I'm doing well. It's a great Friday, so thank you guys for having me. And it's nice to see you.
Likewise.
We get so busy, right? Like
Yeah,
it's nice to talk.
Yeah, definitely. It's always on the phone or you're always running around. But thanks for giving us the time today. So Nadia, obviously, realtors have issues, have problems, and I wanted to talk to you today about your product, what you do, the reason why you came up with it, and basically just solve some issues. Make sure the mic is close to you. If not,
Right. Testing.
Test. So make sure that people know. Because sometimes I think what happens is you have a new product, you're not aware of it. You're going through all these struggles. These realtors are having all these issues, and you came up with a good solution. So I wanted to kind of get a little bit of your story, who you are, what you do, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Nadia Davis. I am the founder of Show Agents. It's a service that is specifically designed to support realtors with in-field appointments, such as showings, inspections, open houses, walkthroughs, all so that way they can get their time back. So we help realtors get their time back, we help them service their clients better, and really just allow them to be more productive. That's what Show Agents is about, giving agents their time and their lives back.
Understood. So, I mean, I know that realtors make a lot of money and then they want to go off on vacation, right?
Yeah.
When they go off on vacation, I mean, people call, and usually for some reason when you're off on vacation, you're out of town, is when
they get the busiest.
You get the busiest, right? So how can you solve those issues where they don't lose the actual, quality of their work and whatnot? Let's say I'm a realtor and I don't know, I'm going off somewhere for like a week and I have multiple showings or even inspections. How can your company help me?
So I think the biggest challenge for realtors in this industry is with their availability and the difficulty to take time off. As an agent, they are juggling showings, they're juggling inspections, client calls, listing appointments, oftentimes all at once. And so it's really difficult in a client or customer-driven industry to not feel the pressure of always saying yes. So then they're working 7 days a week, they're always on call, and it's really difficult for them to take time off. So with Show Agents, we have enabled agents to delegate the in-field appointments so that way they can get their time back. For example, you mentioned like an inspection. An agent who is delegating an inspection or an open house to us can easily get anywhere from 2 to 4 hours back of their time between the commute, the duration of the appointment, all of those things all together. They get 2 to 4 hours back of their time that they can then use to do other things, whether that's family and friends, whether that's hobbies, whether that is even more business development, right?
Of course.
It gives them some time so they get more control of their schedule. So while they're away, and they do often get calls for showings, or maybe a property goes under contract, it gives them a level of comfort knowing that we're here as a resource for them to represent them for these appointments, but also that there's someone on site that has their best interest and their business at heart.
Got it. Okay, so question. I mean, obviously, selling a house, realtors make, a decent amount of money, and you're putting that in someone else's hands.
Right.
Understood. So, with that said, like your team, how do you go about to show them the details? What do you say? What do you not say as far as like a listing or showing to make them comfortable? Because I mean, you have to put yourself in their shoes where obviously they're selling a high ticket item and there's a lot of money involved. How do you make that comfortable for them is my question.
So internally, the first thing we do is we are vetting and training every showing assistant on our team. So that is kind of the step that we take as a company to ensure that the people who are going out and representing the agents are professionals. They're trained on how to conduct a showing. They're trained on what to expect at an inspection. They're trained to handle issues as they arise. But secondly, what we do to build a stronger relationship with the realtors that we work with is if we're going on their behalf to represent them at a listing, we're having a conversation with them beforehand to get all of the details about the property, what improvements have been done, what they want us to say to continue to market the property on their behalf in their absence. So we're there as their extension. And we like I said, we build that relationship beforehand by having those conversations.
Okay.
We also encourage realtors, once a showing assistant is assigned to an appointment, to call that agent, right? Call that showing assistant. Be comfortable with the person who's going to be on site, so that way you know that they're going to represent you the best way possible. We also allow agents to choose the same showing assistant if they feel comfortable with a specific person and how they present themselves and how they handle showings. That's always something that we suggest, because then it also builds a rapport between the showing assistant and the agent, and then that other party, whether it's the buyer or the seller.
Right.
Everyone is kind of, they know each other.
Understood. So let's say I'm a realtor and I call you and I say, Nadia, I have a client, the buyer's super nervous, like, say only this or say only that. You would respect that?
Absolutely. And the other thing I didn't mention is, when we're on site on behalf of an agent, we're really there to facilitate the appointment, right? And so the questions that we typically answer for a showing appointment, for example, is limited to the details that we can find on MLS and what the listing agent provided us as additional information.
Okay.
We don't go beyond that scope, because at the end of the day, the best person that they need to talk to is the agent. So we leave the expertise to the realtor, right? So we're just there to facilitate the appointment. We'll discuss the details that they allow us to discuss if it's a little bit beyond what's on MLS, but we really do try to focus on what we're there for and redirect any specific questions or hard questions back to the agent, because once again, they're the expert.
Nice. As far as your staff that goes out there,
Mm-hmm.
are they bilingual? So like, let's say if we have a Spanish client or an English client or any other language, I maybe Creole or whatever, nowadays you don't know. Do you, for at least like English and Spanish, are they?
Yes, so we have a variety of languages. We have Spanish is probably the most popular, so we have multiple bilingual agents. We do have someone on the team that speaks Portuguese as well.
Good.
And we are working on Haitian Creole, because we do have a lot of those buyers that are, here and they're buying. And I think the one thing you mentioned earlier about how the realtors, they are doing these transactions, right, that are getting them some great commissions. But we also have to think about the seller and the buyer, and that anytime they sell or buy a home, it's a major event in their life.
Yes.
And you want them to be comfortable with the people that are coming to visit the property or are in their presence. And a lot of times that comes down to the ability to speak in their native language.
Understood.
So we want to make sure that we have that availability. We just ask that the realtors let us know beforehand, like, we would prefer to have a Spanish-speaking agent, with this client, or a Creole-speaking agent with this client, so that way we can better facilitate the appointment.
So let me ask you, let's say I'm a realtor, which I'm not, nor do I want to be, okay? And I want to make that very clear. And let's say I'm in Italy, and I tell you, Nadia, we schedule something, but Nadia, please, if this client asks you a certain question, I need you to call me. You guys do that as well. So like, if you're during the show, and even though I'm abroad, I want to be connected or whatnot. If there's a hiccup or a question, do you guys offer to call me as a realtor as well? Even overseas or whatnot.
Absolutely. So a lot of times that comes up, not really so much in showings, although we will. But when we're doing like a walkthrough appointment for a tenant move-in, for example, sometimes we have issues that arise, like maybe the tenant wants something fixed that wasn't agreed upon, there's a little hiccup here or there, maybe the move-in monies is not the correct amount, whatever the case is, we're reaching out to the agent right away, because they'll know the best way to resolve it. They've been there for the entire transaction. We were just on site for that one appointment. So we do maintain in communication with the realtors. And then I think an important part of how we operate is not only do we facilitate the appointments, but no matter what appointment we do, showing, inspection, open house, we're submitting detailed feedback to the realtor.
Good.
So even if we didn't call them per se during the showing, in our feedback we'll say such and such person had these questions, This is what they liked about the property. This is what they disliked. These are the things you should follow up with them on.
Okay.
And we encourage you to reach out to them at your earliest
Now
convenience.
we've talked about listings and obviously representing the realtor.
Mhm.
Great. Open houses.
Mhm.
I don't know of a realtor that likes open houses. Like it's just like for real. Like
Yeah.
it's, you know, some of them do, some of them don't. Some of them are forced. Some of them are there, but they're on Facebook or I don't know. It's
Yeah.
always very random. Do you guys offer these open house the same thing as a service?
Yes, we do offer open house hosting support,
Okay.
and that's probably our second most popular service that we have, second to showings.
Okay.
So with the open house support, or hosting, we will do all of the setup. So that includes like signs, we'll print the
Nice.
flyers out.
Okay.
We bring water, we bring mints, we have the sign-in sheet, everything is there. And I think what agents love most about the service is not only are we setting everything up, breaking everything down, we're there for the duration of the appointment, but it comes back to the feedback, like I mentioned.
Mhm.
So at the conclusion of an open house, we send a very detailed PDF to the agent with every person that comes in, their contact information, what their story is. You know, this is Jane who's
Nice.
moving from New York. She has 3 kids. Whatever we were able to get from that client or
Okay.
that visitor is in that form. And then we also say, does that person have an agent, right? Because this could be a potential lead,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And also, do we think that they're putting in an offer, which could be very valuable information. So when an agent gets this feedback report at the conclusion of the open house, they know exactly who they need to
That's
call
nice.
right away.
Yeah, yeah, and also would you guys also include, let's say, the listing or the open house is a 3-2, but it's too small or too big, or they want a pool. You'll be able to include that information as well.
Yeah.
That way, maybe that's not the house for them, but they're looking for something
Yes.
in that area with this, and this.
Yes, the feedback, once again, we try to make it as complete as
great.
possible. What they liked, what they didn't like. It's very similar to a showing in that way, except
Okay.
now it's multiple people.
Got it. Okay. That's I think that's very helpful because, like I said, it's just as a realtor, like open houses is not. Some
Yes.
people like them, but most of them are always complaining
It
about
takes
it.
a lot of time,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So an open house easily can take someone 4 to 5 hours between the commute there, the
Mhm.
time it takes to set up, driving
Mhm.
around, putting out the signs,
Yeah.
the open house itself, breaking down, and then kind of like that debriefing session, right? That
Yeah.
I mentioned to you with all the feedback, who are my top priority people to follow up with. Like all of that takes time.
Right.
And I've seen a lot of agents leverage us in a way where we're hosting the open house on their behalf on a Saturday, for example, while they're out showing another buyer some
Of course.
properties.
Of
So
course.
they're in effect they're working towards 2 transactions at
Exactly.
the same time.
And then the potential clients that you're going to be receiving.
From the leads, exactly.
I mean, I think even those ideas that you said are good because even though some people do open houses, they don't even take the time to write things.
Yeah.
Like I've seen, I mean, my wife is a realtor, and I've seen multiple times where back when she was doing open houses that, like, people would come in and sometimes they don't even want to leave their information.
Mhm.
So like, if you create a system like that, it's great because you'll try to attract more clientele. You'll see what's going on in the market. You'll
Yeah.
see what areas they're looking for. I think it's great. I
The
think
other
it's great.
point, I think the feedback is really helpful for the conversation the realtor has with their seller.
Okay.
We've hosted X number of open houses. This is exactly the number of people that came in. This is what their feedback was. Then they can speak to their seller and say, hey, maybe we need to do a price reduction.
Mm.
Maybe we need to make this improvement to the house so that way it could be more marketable. So it's really, really valuable information
That's good.
that allows the realtor to better communicate with their clients.
Understood.
Mhm.
And then obviously for the home inspection, which would be on my end, where again you have to open the house
Mhm.
to be able to have the home inspector perform and do its thing. Do you guys have Supra? So let's say a realtor needs to show a house, but Supra is always a problem. You guys have it?
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about the super car.
I
I'm
know.
talking about the
Yeah,
you have it? Okay.
We do. So
Good.
everyone on our team is equipped with Supra, which
Okay.
is really, really, really important for us to facilitate the appointments that we do. Half of the properties on the market are on Supra, so it's kind of just like a must-have. Like
Yeah.
we need to be able to. But for inspections, it's great because if a buyer's agent or a listing agent can't be present to allow access, they can have show agents there to not only provide access, but we stay on site. throughout the duration of the inspection.
Okay.
And then we will update the realtor throughout the inspection, and once again send a feedback report on, hey, these were some of the things that the inspector found. Of course, the full inspection report is coming soon, but
Right.
here are a couple of things just so you to be aware of, mentally
That's
preparing
nice.
for the conversation that they're likely going to have either with their buyer or their seller.
Nice. Besides these services, is there anything else? Any other services that you've seen? What's hot outside? What's like? Talk to me about what would be the most beneficial if it's a new agent. And I know we're discussing prior to that. Sometimes these new innovations, it takes a little bit of time for
Yeah.
people to really say, "Oh wow, this is available." We're discussing.
Yeah.
Like back in the day, you want to at 10 o'clock, you want to go and you want to eat. What do? You get in the car and you drive,
go.
right?
And it takes
Half asleep.
30 minutes,
yeah,
right?
but now you're like Uber Eats or all these other platforms.
Right.
So sometimes these innovations come out, and it's until you kind of see us in this podcast and realize, oh my God, I have a solution. I have,
Yeah.
So as far as the clientele that you have so far, what would be the most beneficial? Where can I start if I'm a new agent? Obviously, how can I incorporate this? How can this? What is the most benefit? What do you recommend?
Right. So I think there's a couple of different ways I can answer the question. The first one is typically what I've seen happen with realtors is it comes down to that first inconvenience.
Okay.
And I can't tell you what that appointment is going to be because it's just based on what happens. So sometimes it's, they're out of town and there's a showing request.
Right.
I have a lot of agents who use us for the first time. It's because something like that happens, or it's because they're just double booked and they're, they can't be in two places at once. So oftentimes that is what leads someone to start working with us. It's just like they're in a really inconvenient situation and they need the support. Kind of like your Uber example.
Yeah,
where, like you're just too hungry and
and I can't drive,
and you're too tired.
And then that's when you turn on the car and you have like 3 miles of empty and
it's just one of those mornings.
I'll just start. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's usually the first time an agent uses us, but
okay.
I would say the most popular services are definitely showings, because they can be randomly come up and all over the place. You can be in West Palm at 1 and then you got to be in Doral at 4 or something like that. So they can be very geographically spread out. So showings are very popular. Open houses, as we mentioned, because of just the amount of time that it takes. Another service that we offer that I've seen is really helpful to agents is scheduling.
Okay.
So we offer scheduling support to agents where they can give us a couple of addresses, say, I'd like to go on a showing tour with my buyer on Wednesday at this time. Can you just schedule it for me and give me the access information? I will still go do the appointments myself.
Nice.
So that is something that they can once again delegate to us. It takes a little bit of load off of their shoulders. Yes, they're still present with their clients for the appointments, but it's just that time it takes to go back and forth between several parties to get something scheduled. So I've seen that really popular.
Yeah, because realtors usually never get the phone. They just don't. Leave a voicemail and they're always busy. So I am assuming if you're scheduling 3 or 4 appointments for the same day,
follow-up. Oh my gosh.
It's back and forth. It's a back and forth. It's insane.
And for them, it's just easier to, it might take us a little bit because there is the back and forth, but here's your showing itinerary. At 12 o'clock, you're here. This is the access instructions. It's a 15-minute drive. This is the next appointment, and we'll also send it with all of the PDFs of the MLS for them, so they're good to go for their appointments.
Nice.
So that's another service that's become very popular. And then last but not least, I would say maybe walkthroughs for tenant move-ins and move-outs.
Yes.
Those are a little bit time-consuming, and I think it helps to kind of have a third party handle that because there isn't that friction.
Understood.
So with those appointments, we document the condition of the property. We're doing a video recording. We're taking pictures. All of that, we deliver it to the agent in a Google Drive folder so they have it for reference in the future.
Okay.
We'll also complete their walkthrough form, and it's something that's a little time consuming, but I've noticed that has been really popular in the past 6 months.
Got it. Now, as far as areas that you cover, what areas are you active right now?
Yeah.
If I need something in Miami or Broward, what areas are
so
you
right now we are actively servicing all of Miami-Dade and all of Broward County. So we're from Homestead through to about Wellington, Lake Worth area, which gets you a little bit into Palm Beach. And we're working on expanding throughout the rest of Palm Beach and even further up into like Port St. Lucie area as well over the next couple months.
Okay. And then lastly, obviously, I deal with a lot of realtors, and a lot of them are really good friends of mine. What special rates? I mean, I need you guys to contact Nadia, and then mention, I guess, hashtag Apex. I don't know how that works. Hashtag
that works.
Cindy. Hashtag Nadia, whatever you want, whatever. Mention it. I want to see the feedback. I want to see, and you guys watching the podcast, give me some feedback. Nadia's a dear friend of ours, and I want her to succeed as well and help you guys as realtors. So I want feedback. Maybe if you guys have any ideas or any struggles that maybe you can add or suggestions, and then from your end, if you can, give them a break, give them ideas, do the best you can, and start a relationship.
Absolutely.
So.
If you come to Show Agents and you say Johan from Apex,
they will charge you more money. Be careful. I'm just like.
No, we will give you 40% off of your first.
Oh my God, that's a lot. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
No, you've been amazing. You've been so supportive of Show Agents, and I want to do the same for the realtors that you work with. Okay,
no, I appreciate it. I mean, we always, establish good relationships with good people, and again, we value your support as well. So you guys got it. A lot of information, a lot of new detail. Obviously, it's something new and different. It's like ordering Uber, and you didn't order Uber before, so. Get it going, get on the technology. I think too what happens, Nadia, is that we're just so into like habits. Like for example, I go to the same Publix and the same gas station and the same restaurant. So like I'm like and we're all the same, right?
No, it's true.
And then sometimes you see something so good come up and you're like, like
you're used to what you're
doing.
You're
used to what you're used to, right? So like you have to break that habit. But I believe that when you break that habit, it opens doors for you to expand. Yeah. And a lot of realtors tell me, I want to expand. Like, Johan, do you have any ideas? Because they call me and they ask me for questions. Because, we do work with a lot of people. And they're like, well, what are these people doing that they're more successful than I am? Yeah. Well, this is one of them. You're opening the doors to being able to do more by using Show Agents. So I think it's a clever idea. I think it's great, to be honest.
Thank you so much. The last thing that I think I want to also add is what keeps me going with Show Agents is the impact that we truly have on agents' lives. I've seen realtors take long overdue vacations, 3-week vacations that they couldn't take before. Right. I've seen agents recover from medical leave. They've been in the hospital or whatever the case is, and they're not ready yet to be out in the field. Right. But their business doesn't stop.
Nice.
And we're here to help them with that.
Nice.
So I think it goes beyond just their time. It's really enabling them to live their lives.
Yeah, that's true. And also, like, even in vacation, because, like, I take vacations, right? And when I take vacations, sometimes if you have something lingering and, you're like, you're there, but you're not there. You understand? Yeah. So, like, this is something where you can actually disconnect completely and know that it's being taken care of.
Exactly.
So it's sometimes it's worth more than what it seems. It's a peace of mind, so you can enjoy time with your family and at the same time have business progress.
Right, and not miss any opportunities.
I think it's genius.
Thank you.
Yeah. So you guys know the information. We'll put at the bottom all her contact information. How can they contact you?
They can contact us many different ways. You can call or text. For booking, you can go directly on our website and book through our booking platform.
Okay.
We're also available via email. Like, we're very flexible in terms of methods of communication because we want to have as minimal friction as possible. Whatever that agent prefers, we want to work through that channel and support them.
Okay, and as far as, let's say I need to book something tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. For that Same methods actually.
So the system would let you know the limitations, if you have it
Correct.
available or not,
Yes.
and all the
You'll
information.
see every showing assistance availability, like I mentioned to you. If they have a preference of working with one agent or they've worked with one in the past and they want to keep it with the same person, they'll be able to select by the showing assistant what their availability is.
Okay.
So that's very helpful. But yeah, they can go directly online. It really is super helpful. Like if it's midnight and you know tomorrow something's coming up, you can just go online and book. But a lot of agents just call us or text us and say, hey, do you have someone that can show for me tomorrow at 10 a.m. in this area?
Okay.
And we'll go from there.
And let me ask you one last thing, because I mean we've detailed like realtors, which is great. How about brokers? So let's say, because I mean, brokers kind of organize the whole transaction. They're kind of like, you know, the law, and there's certain structures. Do you have, or can you in the future supply special rates for a broker, so that way they can say, listen, this is what you have to do, and then based on, like, you know, do you have special programs for?
We do, actually. I'm happy that you mentioned that.
Read your mind.
There's actually a couple of ways that we can work with brokers. The first way is just by being a preferred vendor.
Okay.
So the ability to just have a relationship with the office. We do that with a couple of offices right now, where we come in like once a month. We have office hours. We, create relationships with the agents in the office. The second one, I'm sorry, let me take a step back. That also comes with a discount if we're working with an entire office.
Okay.
And then the second way is if the broker wants to subsidize some of the showing support for their top producers.
Okay.
So someone is killing it, but they're getting too busy, and the broker wants to not only reward that person for continuing to kill it, but to support them to do even more.
Okay.
So they can subsidize that where the rates go down even lower. The broker is kind of like paying for half of the showing support or whatever support that they need in the field, and then the agent kind of takes care of the rest. And then the last way is kind of like a house account. If the broker, and this usually works for smaller brokerages like boutique brokerages, but if the broker wants their agents to just charge to a house account, the broker's house account, and the broker will then pay for the support services that their team uses.
If I'm a broker and I love what you're hearing, but I want my team to hear it. Do you do presentations where you
We do, absolutely, and that's where like that preferred vendor option comes in.
That's great.
So that is at no cost to the broker for us to be a preferred vendor. That just means that we're able to come in. Like I said, we do office hours, which is very helpful. We do it once a month in the offices. It allows us to schedule time with the agents. If they have unique questions, they'd rather speak to someone in person than over the phone. They'll know like, hey, show agents is going to be in the office this Friday between 12 and 3. It's a great opportunity to get your questions answered and things like that. But yeah, you can also schedule us for presentations and really show agents how they can get their time back.
Nice. Well, I'm going to throw something in here. The first contact that you receive from this podcast, I am going to donate to show agents 2 free VIP tickets to the Martins. I need you to tell me who calls. I want feedback.
Okay.
So just I want to see. I want to see what's going on. So these are tickets. Any game they want. VIP in the front, behind first base, home plate, third base.
Yeah.
I want to donate.
You guys need
that.
to call.
Yeah. So if not, I will call and book something, and then I'll get the tickets. But you don't want that to happen, so you want to call her. So keep me informed. Let me know who the first, the first clients that you get off of this podcast is, and let's keep it going. Well, thank you, Nadia, for your time.
Of course,
I
thank you for having me.
All right, guys. Bye.